Um, and actually, in preparation for today, I thought it would be quite nice just to throw up on screen what a Mio chain.
Let me put that slide on for you. There you are. So what we're looking at here.
Yeah. So what we're looking at here is that I'm the agent at the bottom there, the Mio agent, and my property is ready to exchange. And actually, this demonstrates that Mio handles complex chains as well.
Split chain.
A split chain, moving upwards, split chain. And what we're seeing here is that there's complete transparency. So it's a fully qualified capped off chain.
Yeah.
And without actually calling either of those two agents, I would have a view of their milestones, because everyone's working with a milestone standard, and I'll be able to see exactly how far through the process they are. So I can see that already visually, because I understand the system, that they're pretty well advanced. They're still at that sale agreed status, so they're not quite ready to exchange. But if they log in, they'll see me at the bottom, and I'm sat there ready to go, ready to exchange.
So just so I understand, John, when I'm looking at a system like this, one of the key things for me is, how quickly is it to pick something up? So if I'm looking at what's it there, French's Gate in the top left corner there, I can see that on the kind of, the circle there, two segments are completed. So we're essentially 2/5 of the way through that.
We are. We break the sales progression down into 5 simple stages. So you've got getting prepared, searches and inquiries, contracts, and then finally exchange and complete. And obviously it's not a linear process, so any one of those first 3 segments can be in play at the same time. But obviously once you're through that segment, it turns to a solid color. But you can see visually there, it's very easy, simple to follow. But the other key thing, just to take us back to talking about data, is that when we're trying to make it less onerous for agents to update the progress, because we're starting to consume more and more data from other professionals that are involved in this process. So namely conveyancers, suppliers and mortgage brokers. So it could be that a number of the key milestone stages have actually been populated for that agent through a validated data feed. So, and in actual fact, 35% of properties in Mio currently benefit from at least one of the milestones being updated through an automated feed. So we're starting to move towards that stage of kind of, call it assisted, working towards hands-free sales progression for the agents. So it's good news for them, and obviously the more people embrace this, the better it becomes.
It's true. I say it a lot, but it's greater than the sum of the parts, isn't it? By the phrase at the moment, which is very popular, is all in this together. Well, actually, if you do throw yourself into Mio like this, everyone in the process committed to getting these sales through wins, don't they?
100%. I mean, I appreciate. Look, I've said it on numerous times. Yeah, when you're competing for the listing, the gloves are off. And fair play. But when you're in a chain, if agents really do start to not view them as your arch rivals in the high street, but collaborate, because you've all got skin in the game, and if you can work harmoniously across that chain, everyone's going to benefit. And of course, what we're now starting to do, earlier this year as a first, we actually started serving up a restricted chain view to conveyancers as well, and that was a first for them. So that's really proving beneficial to conveyancers, because for the first time they can see the full picture, and that really helps them when they're managing their transactions and prioritizing work.
I've often heard it said that trying to get agents to do something is like herding cats. So I don't know what your challenge is, trying to get agents and conveyancers, but it's cats and dogs. I don't know, but anyway, it's a laudable project, and I do mean that. I think it's, first of all, it looks great, really, really simple there. You can get into this very, very quickly and easily here. You mentioned there's a restricted view for conveyancers. Do you give the consumer access to this as well?
Yeah, the consumer is a really integral part of this because, and that's why we developed the Mio app that runs alongside it. So as an agent, I can invite my vendor or my buyer to register and download the app free of charge. And they get a different view of the chain, kind of diagrammatic view, so that again there's that transparency. They can see where their property is in the chain. But as an agent, as I'm starting to do the sales progression, Mio is pushing automated notifications to me as the vendor, keeping me updated as to the progress. So I'm kind of sat there thinking, great, I'm reassured things are happening, but I'm also sometimes having a little bit of a nudge because there could be some tasks for me to do. And I spoke about this on a webinar the other week where sometimes areas of delay can actually be the vendors holding themselves up because they're slow in turning around legal forms. And it's those sorts of tasks that we would serve up with a due date and a reminder through the app. And it's proving to work really, really well because the way in which consumers like to gather information, view information, and communicate through chat messaging, you know, people are less inclined to kind of pick up the phone or send emails these days. It's kind of all done on one of these, isn't it, these days?
Absolutely. Well, look, you know, you've got to get past the email, haven't you, as well? Look, emails are a fantastic tool, but they pale into insignificance alongside your phone and app and notifications, don't they? Which just are the very first, you can't ignore, basically, can you? Very, very easily these days. So that really makes a lot of sense there.
Yeah, and you know, I suppose if you're an early adopter, you could argue that if you're out there doing market appraisals, and maybe you're the only agent that's truly embraced this in your high street today, you perhaps got a competitive advantage because you're starting to build in that customer service element through the Mio app at listing stage. And we have had anecdotal stories and evidence from customers where they've said, you know, it certainly helped me win that listing. So, you know, agents should be mindful of that. But I would really encourage, you know, agents to sort of jump in on this and really create that kind of community approach because, like you said earlier, Simon, it's a win-win for everyone.
You're not allowed to use the you just need one more instruction to pay for this because that was the Simon Whale close. I copyrighted that and now everyone's thoroughly sick of it.
I'm guessing a few people that say if I hear that one more time.
That's why I had to move on. You know, you were talking there though, and I guess you were being quite diplomatic, but you know, would it be fair to say that actually the vendor's holding it up a majority of the time, or am I over-egging that? Because I can just well imagine that they, you know, and I am genuinely thinking about my own disorganized self. The amount of times that, you know, what it doesn't really matter what it is, but I'm lambasting the fact that it's not moving forward. Then it's like, well, the reason why is I haven't sent XYZ bit of information or submitted this. Do you actually know what percentage of those blockers are essentially? Because that would be really fascinating to know. Maybe when we next talk, we could look at some analysis on that.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that there's sufficient data to that level that's running through Mio at the moment to give you some real meaningful kind of stats off the back of that. But I think one of the reasons why sometimes vendors and buyers can sort of slow the whole process down themselves is because there's a bit of a lack of understanding of the process. I mean, let's face it, you know, people just don't move as frequently as they used to, you know, and actually that's where Mio also helps because within the app, it gives them some helpful guides as to those different stages that I described, such as, you know, getting prepared, you know, what on earth, you know, I'm selling a leasehold flat. What on earth's a management company information pack? You know, that's an area that can cause a bit of delay. So we kind of explain that. But from the agent's perspective, I mentioned the word simple when we opened this broadcast, you know, and that's at the heart of Mio. It's to make the whole sales progression process simple so that, if I'm relatively new into an agent's business and a branch, I don't have to be truly well experienced, because Mio helps me in my learning and my understanding of the process by the way in which the information is laid out and the milestones. And actually, if agents are better equipped to understanding the process, then they can inform and advise their customers, and that helps to sort of guide them through that process. I've always said, out of all of the different professions that are involved in a home moving transaction, to me, and you might disagree, but to me, it's the agent that truly owns that relationship, because they're the closest to the vendors and buyers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you were talking about introducing Simon, you were just, Simple. You were talking Simple Simon. I thought you were just being a little bit cheeky at the beginning. But talk us through. I mean, obviously we're looking at it on screen here, but talk us through the actual process. How does it work from literally, from going onto the system, as you said before, there's a tiny bit of admin in terms of getting it on. Walk us through the process in terms of how it's normally used from there on.
Okay, well, I'm deliberately not going to give you a demo now on screen, because I want people to inquire, but it's super simple. So here we go. So, rather than that default of building your chain in your CRM or on a piece of paper, what I'm going to do is I'm going to log into my Mio account, and first of all, I'm going to find out if someone else has already plugged my property into that chain. If not, I'm just going to search for the address, add my details in very quickly. 30 seconds, I've got my property record on there. And then I can just basically go through and use the Mio chain tools to start building out my chain. So if I'm building up, I'll add a link up, I'll search for the address, I'll find it, and then I'll associate it to the brand and the branch who are selling that property, and that pulls in that link. I can add my vendor details and my buyer details, so that I can click a button to invite them to register for the app. And then really, when it comes to the sales progression, it's already done through that milestones tab. So everyone is working from a standard set of milestones, so that when you are navigating up and down the chain, it's very easy to interpret where everyone's at, because we're all talking the same talk.